Welcome everyone to another episode number 2 of the Motorsport Report. Everyone, it is Indy 500 Eve. Christmas is upon us. Tomorrow we get to go to the track and watch the excitement and the pageantry of the Indianapolis 500. So welcome again to the Motorsport Report here on Best Damn Sports. Thank you for joining me and watching this episode. What a carb day we had on Friday. Doug Bowles reported that it was the largest crowd ever for Carb Day. So that was really exciting to see, and really happy for the series to get that news. It was fun watching the day unfold on TV. I thought Fox did a great job having their entire day down at the track for FS1 programming. Airing their normal afternoon shows right there from the track. I saw some people making comments in the IndyCar community, fandom community. I mean, when I say that, regarding the fact that they didn't understand why there was times where some of their shows were talking about the NBA and things like that. But what Fox was trying to do there was broadcast their normal afternoon programming from the track. So then you get some kind of ancillary benefit from people that may not normally tune into IndyCar coverage. They were watching their normal shows, and then it just so happened they see this awesome setting in the background, and then mixed in some IndyCar talk to their normal shows, so that way you might get some people that weren't normally IndyCar fans or Indianapolis 500 fans that saw that through those other shows. And then the ancillary effect is that they then might join and watch tomorrow for the Indianapolis 500 and future races beyond for the series. So kind of a quick explanation on that. I thought it was interesting how the hosts on the different shows and that didn't always act like they were experts. They may have acted like they were new to the field, which I think that's really a good thing, because then they were able to ask questions of people like Mario Andretti, who joined for a segment. Takuma Sato joined for a little bit, and we'll talk about him a little bit more. But they were asking them questions that maybe some newbies would want to know, and in order to kind of educate themselves a little bit. I thought so. I thought it was really cool watching the coverage throughout the day. But there was some stuff that was interesting as we were going, as the day unfolded. Talking about the practices and the other things that went on. Congratulations to Team Penske on winning the pit stop challenge. That was really fun to watch. I'm not one that watches that every year, but I did take the time to do that today and really enjoyed it. But moving right along here, we did have the Weenie 500, and as you see, the Slaw Dog won the race there by a nose. Thought it was kind of an interesting little thing. I mean, it was kind of goofy, but it made the day fun. It kind of separated the day out a little bit, and helped you to enjoy the day, and just have some fun. I mean, don't take everything too serious, is kind of what that said, and just gave us something to laugh at, especially in the days leading up, knowing that was going to happen. I'm glad that they did something kind of unique and just kind of hokey, just for fun. So that was really cool to see. In practice this morning, there was a little bit of, kind of a scary moment. Ryan Hunter-Ray, his car caught on fire, and they're going to have to switch to the backup car. Here I have a little bit of a clip of it. As you can see, he's slowing down here, and then as he comes into the pits, the car is on fire, kind of reminiscent. Some people were saying of some earlier fires due to the hybrid system. No confirmation on that. But that would be interesting to follow that and see if that was due to the hybrid system, because obviously if that becomes a recurring thing, that would be kind of a black mark on the series as a whole, for having switched to that hybrid system. If it's starting to cause problems and potentially have fires and that kind of thing, we don't want drivers being put in danger due to something like that. But I also do think, though, if there are complications from the hybrid system, I mean, typically in most years in the last decade or so, you typically have like 95 to 100% of the cars make it mechanically anyway. We haven't had a ton of engine failures over the years, in the recent 10 to 15 years or so, as far as cars mechanically not being able to, or their motor not being able to make it. So if we have another potential issue that could knock some guys out. It might provide some interesting storylines. But there were other things that went on throughout the day during the practice session that we definitely want to talk about here. Alexander Rossi had a water leak. Looks like they're going to have to replace the water pump on that car for him, and hopefully the team's able to do that okay. But then Rahal Letterman Lanigan today had some issues. Not sure totally on what all of them are, but Graham Rahal, you see here, looks like he had a mechanical issue after only like 45 minutes of practice today. So that's kind of concerning that he had an issue like that after only being able to practice for a short time. So hopefully they're able to fix whatever that issue is, and Graham's able to participate tomorrow. Really looking forward to seeing Graham out there. I've been a fan of Graham's for a long time and rooted for him. Kind of like, I started following the series in 2005, and Graham started racing in Champ Car soon after that. So those drivers that kind of came into the series, in those first couple years, I've always kind of rooted for them, Graham and Marco, and some of those types. So hopefully Graham's able to get that, and his team are able to get that resolved, and that then they're able to get him out there and not have any issues, and he can have a good race tomorrow. I did want to bring up Takuma Sato because he did have some troubles as well toward the end of practice. There's some conflicting reports I've seen out there. Saw a couple of places reporting that it was just he ran out of fuel. They were trying to test it and see how far they could go and go to a number basically, and that he just ran out of fuel. However, on IndyCar.com's website, there are some quotes from Takuma and mentioning mechanical failure here in their art. This is a snippet from their article, a direct quote from Takuma. I would say we weren't entirely happy with the car setup yet, but we were making good progress, Sato said. We were pointing in the right direction, so I want to check all the data. We had a mechanical failure on the last run and lost performance on one side of the car. It's too early for me to say what that was until the team investigates it. But I almost lost control in turn one, and we are just fortunate I didn't hit anything. So, in my opinion, that quote from him doesn't sound like it's necessarily, a fluke. Running out of fuel or anything like that. That sounds like it could have been a little bit more complicated, and hopefully, of course, he could always the team could always be just trying to throw the other teams off too. But I don't know. To me, it sounds like there could be something mechanically wrong there, and hopefully the team's able to get out and fix that for both him and Graham tomorrow, and that they're able to run in the race with no problems, especially Takuma. He's been one of my favorites to be able to get his third win in the Indianapolis 500. I think Takuma would be a great ambassador to be a three-time winner. And join the ranks of that small crowd. I think that Takuma has been one that's been exciting to watch throughout his career. He's never been afraid to take chances, and he's always pretty much run well at the speedway. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's going on with his car and his team. I hope that he's able to get out there, like I said, with no issues. Moving along to talk about the rest of the runners in practice today. Here was the top 10 runnings from practice today. You will notice that Takuma was right there. He ran second quick in practice today. So I'm glad that Takuma did get that good speed put up for the team. One thing to note is that the pole sitter, Robert Schwartzman, I talked about him a lot yesterday on the pod, and kind of a little bit nervous because he didn't run so great today. They were 29th quick on the day. So they're not obviously here in this top 10 that I've pulled up for us. But we do see Joseph Newgarden topping the list. And oh my, is that going to be a very fascinating story. Joseph Newgarden starting on the back row today in practice, putting up the top speed. I mean, you just do the math there and think about how many cars is he going to pass on lap one. I can't even tell you how excited I am to see that and watch that. I'll be sitting in the Tower Terrace tomorrow, and I am going to be looking for Joseph's car down that front straightaway to open the race, and then after lap one to see where he is. But then rounding out the top 10, of course, I mentioned Takuma Sato, but then you've got Scott Dixon, Devlin DeFrancesco, Will Power also in the back row. So those two Penske cars could hook up and go straight toward the front right there at the start of the race. And then you've got Felix Rosenquist at six quick today, and then or yesterday, sorry. And then you also have Elio Castroneves there in the 7th spot, followed by Pato O'Ward, David Malukas, and Connor Daly. Elio Castroneves right there at 7 is very encouraging. Because qualifying and starting the race in the 22nd position, I thought was going to be a little bit of a challenge for him, and especially because the last couple of races he's finished, in that 20 range, somewhere in the 20s, and so like I was getting nervous as he passed his prime, 50 years old. It's been a while since he was competitive in the race, but that seventh quick speed, I actually am starting to rethink what my expectation is for him in this race, and I do think that Elio Castroneves is going to finish the race in the top 10. He knows how to get around Indianapolis. He knows how to drive straight through traffic and get toward the front. So I think Elio Castroneves is going to finish in the top 10 tomorrow. And I cannot wait to see him put himself into competition and potentially do even better than that. I'm very confident in him. Whereas 24 hours, like yesterday on the pod, I was not very confident. So I am glad to see that Elio has a chance to get into that top 10 and be competitive. Right behind him on the speed list was Pato O'Ward. I think that more and more, because of the uncertainty around Takuma Sato, I think Pato O'Ward is my favorite. We saw Schwartzman, we talked about earlier, wasn't very fast today. So I'm not sure that despite being on the pole, kind of reminds me of Marco a few years ago, and that he may drop back pretty quick. And hopefully Robert's able to just have a clean, safe race and get to the end and maybe finish in that top 15. But I just don't think that the Schwartzman's going to have what it takes to be in contention for the win. Of course, we doubted Prema before, and we saw what happened in quals. So who knows what will happen? But as long as if Takuma Sato's car is not having issues, I think Takuma Sato, Pato O'Ward, and Alex Palou are the three to watch. They are my three favorites for the race tomorrow. I realize that Felix Rosenqvist is in there in 6 quick for today, and he also is starting the race in the second row. But I think the three I mentioned before are the three that I'm really looking at to win the race tomorrow. Takuma is probably my favorite if the car is fine. Of course, he is kind of in a one-off spot and racing there for Rahal. So is the crew going to be cohesive enough in the pit stops? That's going to be the question as well for Takuma. So you got the pit stops, and is the car good? Those are the two concerns with Takuma, but that he's not going to be afraid to, charge early in the race and try to lead the race lap one. So he's always exciting. And I'm sure tomorrow will be no different in this year's Indianapolis 500. And then you have Pato O'Ward, who I was mentioning before, finished second last year, has had, a number of other good runs here in his young career in IndyCar at the Speedway. So I think O'Ward is I keep going back and forth between O'Ward or Sato as my number one favorite, but I think there's some concerns with the whether or not the crew is going to be cohesive for the pit stops, and is the car fine with Sato. So I think O'Ward is where I'm leaning toward my number one as far as my favorite to win the race tomorrow, followed by Alex Palou. Alex has just freaking dominated this year. One of the best all-time starts to a season ever. And of course, racing for Ganassi, the crew is going to be aces tomorrow. They're not going to have problems in the pits. And Alex Palou he's been really impressive. So if he were to win the race tomorrow, though, it could be the season championship could be just about on lock with as many points as you get for winning the 500 and that kind of thing. I think that if Alex Palou wins the Indianapolis 500, then the season championship is going to be kind of I don't want to say a snooze fest, because dominance is to be appreciated as well. But man, that is going to be tough to get past him in the season championship if he were to win tomorrow in the Indianapolis 500. Let me know in the comments, who do you think will win the race? Make sure you hit the like button down below this video. I appreciate you doing that, and helping our algorithm out here on a new IndyCar channel, basically. And let us know what kind of coverage you want moving forward. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and help us out and gain some following. And tell your friends about the channel because we do. I'm going to be regularly doing this motorsport report and talking about the IndyCar series. But then we also do a lot of baseball talk on the channel, basketball talk, and then as the summer comes to a close, we'll be talking more football and college sports and things like that. But we do plan to make the IndyCar series a staple of this channel here for Best Damn Sports. So let me know what you want to hear about and what you want us to talk about on the channel, and I'll be glad to take that into those comments and feedbacks into consideration so that we can bring you what you want to see. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. I can't wait to get to the track. I'll be wearing this hat in Tower Terrace on Sunday. So let me know. Holler at me if you see me walking around. I'll be by myself too. My wife didn't want to go to the race, so holler at me. Be glad to get you. Have a drink with you or something. Pregame in the tailgate lots or something like that. So glad to be going on Sunday and can't wait to see everybody again. Have a good one.